It was the dawning of a new era in the NBA. A rookie by the name of Magic Johnson joins the Los Angeles Lakers, and they open in San Diego. Trailing the Clippers by a point, the Lakers set up the inbounds pass to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He rolled up an 18-foot sky hook, and Magic Johnson responded with the kind of enthusiasm that wins championships. Meanwhile, Billy Cunningham was building a strong team in Philadelphia, but he needed an enforcer, someone with muscle who would go in and take the challenge. He found it. Chocolate Thunder, Daryl Dawkins, and the 76ers were rolling. At the All-Star game, it was still another rookie by the name of Larry Bird from the Boston Celtics, who ignited the Eastern Conference Stars with this pass in overtime to George Gervin. Then it was playoff time. The battle for the Eastern Conference title. The Boston Celtics favored. Bobby Jones off Billy C's bench. The 76ers take command. And the man who drove Philly all year was the doctor, Julius Erving, playing his finest basketball since coming to the NBA. Out west, the defending champion Seattle Supersonics got past Milwaukee in a tough 7-game series. Then for the Western title, it was Los Angeles and Seattle. The Lakers built a 3-1 lead. They were sluggish in Game 5. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the second half tossed in 22 points, 38 for the game, and the Lakers had won it. It's the NBA World Championship Series. The Philadelphia 76ers with the Doctor and Chocolate Thunder against the Los Angeles Lakers with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and the Magic Man. Coming up on CBS.
Sunday, it was Game 4 from the Summit in Houston. The Rockets, after losing by 23 points the day before, got a remarkable performance from number 10, Mike Dunleavy. He had scored only 20 points in the previous 3 games, but he played the game of his life, scoring a career playoff high of 28 points. The Rockets came out at the start of the second half. They were aggressive. They had the ball for 1 minute and 15 seconds on a sequence of plays such as this. Before the day was over, they would have 28 offensive rebounds and take 29 more shots than Boston. It's been a physical series. As evidenced by this action, bodies have been all over the floor. Thus far, Houston has been shooting 32% from the field, and Boston, which set a team record for field goal percentage during the regular season, hasn't been over 50% in the series. Robert Reed has been spectacular on defense. He has held Larry Bird to 8 points in each of the last 2 games. While his shooting has dropped off, he came back in Game 4 with 19 points to go with 13 rebounds. And the Rockets have evened it up. And it's now down to a best 2 out of 3 as tonight is Game 5 from the Boston Garden.
It has been a star-studded World Championship Series between Philadelphia and Los Angeles. Down 3-1, the incomparable Dr. J, Julius Erving, sparked a back-to-the-wall Sixer victory in Game 5 with brilliant open-court play. Is Julius confident they can do it one more time to even the series?
Confidence is something that has always existed, but I think faith is more important than confidence. I have faith in all my players and in myself, and that's more important.
Erving Magic Johnson, perhaps the most emotional player you'll ever see. It was 2 years ago. Magic led the Lakers to the world title over the Sixers in his rookie season. Magic, the catalyst of the Lakers, captured the MVP award in those playoffs, the first rookie to do so. Would this title mean as much?
I think a little bit more tonight because of the fact that the team is together tonight. And before Kareem was not playing, it sort of made it tough for us to really enjoy it without the big fella.
Yes, the heart and soul of the Lakers is center Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, perhaps the most dominant player the past decade. But Sunday in Game 5, Kareem was a frustrated performer indeed. He openly accused the Sixers, particularly Daryl Dawkins, of roughhouse tactics. And Kareem was held to an incredibly low output of 6 shots attempted, 6 points, and only 6 rebounds. Just some of the cast in tonight's 6th game from the Forum in Inglewood, where the Lakers take a 3-2 lead over the Sixers in the battle for the championship.
Moses Malone and the Philadelphia 76ers are on the outskirts of the promised land. One more victory and all that frustration is over. Philadelphia will finally have won its NBA championship. And the great Julius Erving will finally have his championship ring. The Lakers are counting on pride to avoid a sweep here tonight. But they must solve that savage Philadelphia defense, or the frustrating agony of the last 3 games will continue for Los Angeles. For Billy Cunningham, this could be the biggest night of his coaching career, and he'll do it in Southern California. The 1984 playoffs had become a replay of that old Boston Celtic magic. They rolled over Washington, edged the Knicks, and dismantled the Bucks. Everything they did was right, until they ran into the fastest guns in the West. Magic Johnson sparked the Los Angeles Lakers to a 2-1 lead in Game 3. Their running game was awesome. James Worthy was spectacular, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was a force at both ends of the court. The 33-point defeat was the worst the Celtics have suffered in their proud championship history. And the reactions on both sides told the story. Tonight, the Celtics will try to even it up against the glimmering backdrop of the City of the Angels. The Forum is the site. It's Game 4 of the NBA World Championship Series.
The year was 1969, Bill Russell's last as a center for the Boston Celtics. That year, the Celtics took on the Los Angeles Lakers for the NBA championship. They were the Lakers of Jerry West and Wilt Chamberlain. And it came down to this one shot by Don Nelson. The Celtics got the bounce, and they became the last team to repeat. A year ago, it was the Lakers and Celtics again. Los Angeles was spectacular, but Boston was timely. It was a series that featured everything: hustle, determination, violence, hostility. There was the heat of the Boston Garden, the total exhaustion, the jubilation, and the dejection. And in the end, it was too much Larry Bird, and the Celtics won title number 15. Welcome back to Memorial Day on the banks of the Charles River in Boston. It's the NBA World Championship Series, and one more time, it's the Celtics and the Lakers.
The Houston Rockets and the Boston Celtics bring contrasting styles to these NBA Finals. Larry Bird and the Celtics finessed their way here with an instinctive passing game, while Hakeem Olajuwon powered and slammed the Rockets past the Lakers. They had beaten the defending champions, and they were riding high with plenty of confidence. The Boston Celtics and the NBA Finals have always gone hand in hand. It is simply their favorite time of year. And in Game 1 against Houston, they utilized their experience. Every time a Celtic moved, a Rocket would jump. The frustration mounted for Coach Bill Fitch as his team's shots wouldn't drop, and their passes wouldn't click. Now the young Rockets must regain their poise for Game 2. And in the Boston Garden, the home of Larry Bird, that is never an easy proposition. Nighttime on the banks of the Charles River. A city waits. The Celtics and the Rockets are ready for Game 2 of the NBA Final. They were being touted as untouchable. And after 2 games of the NBA Finals, the Los Angeles Lakers more than lived up to this lavish reputation. They seemed well on their way to dethroning the defending champion Boston Celtics. And the Celtics returned home looking for answers and needing some good help. But the little little green leprechaun worked his wonders again. As a change of scenery produced a marked difference in this Boston Celtic team, they displayed all the fire and hustle missing from their previous games. The Celtics defiantly refused to yield their crown as they outmaneuvered the Lakers up and down the grand old parquet floor. The result was 2 wins in 3 games, and Boston was back in this championship series. Los Angeles let their firm grip on the series slip away. Now the Untouchables must rediscover their winning touch. The Celtics have carried this heavyweight fight into the late rounds, and the Lakers now realize the champions will not go down easily. In Game 6, the Los Angeles Lakers took the floor with the defense of their title hanging in the balance. A battered Isaiah Thomas performed heroically for Detroit. But it wasn't enough. The Lakers escaped with a victory, forcing tonight's dramatic 7th-game showdown. This has been a series of startling contrasts, from the friendships off the court to the fierce hostility on it. We've witnessed the youthful exuberance of the challengers and the poise of the champions. There's been hardship and pain, but not enough to overcome sheer guts and determination. These teams have battled to a standstill, and tonight their destiny will be determined. It's just a question of who can endure this final hurdle. The Lakers hope to repeat history tonight, while the Pistons hope to make some. A championship is at stake, and only one team's prayers will be answered. They have the look and confidence of champions. These Detroit Pistons have moved to within 1 game of their first ever NBA World title. Through 3 games of the NBA Finals, the Pistons' backcourt has scorched the Los Angeles Lakers in every conceivable fashion. Now the improbable is possible. The Pistons can sweep away the Lakers. With Magic Johnson relegated to the role of cheerleader, the defending champions again will rely on past heroes. No team plays with greater pride than the Los Angeles Lakers. Tonight, they will need every resource, or an era will come crashing to an end. Chuck Daly's Motown sound is just 1 win away from NBA gold. Tonight, Detroit tries to become the newly crowned world champions.
When you are the world champions, you have that certain look. It's not something you can learn, it's something you acquire through greatness. And throughout this series, the Detroit Pistons have shown the Portland Trail Blazers what greatness is all about. And the backcourt, they are proving to be the best guards this side of Buckingham Palace. When the Trailblazers brought this series to their home court, it was expected they would dominate. Instead, they learned very quickly how fast things can fall apart. If Detroit has the look of champions, Portland has the look of frustration. And now, down 3 games to 1, they are looking at summer vacation. Since they began playing professional basketball, only 2 franchises have repeated as champions. And the headline Detroit is looking for tomorrow has 3 words: back to back.